When you win one classic, you're good. When you win the same one twice or 3 times, you're a talent. When you win one 7 times in a row, you're a dominant generational force. This is the case for Anna van der Breggen. We could, and perhaps should, have a 2-hour-long video detailing VDB's achievements, but here's the quick hits version of it. 2-time world champion, Olympic champion, 4-time Giro d'Italia champion, Tour of Flanders winner, and a whole host of other victories. Most impressive out of everything is what we're talking about today, her dominance at La Flèche Wallonne. The women's edition of the Ardennes Classic has been held since 1998, and, like the men's race, the finish is at the very top of the infamous Mur de Huy, a 128-meter tall hill with a gradient that maxes out at 26%. Van der Breggen won her first Flèche in 2015, and then she won again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, with a record 7 wins in a row. These are the short stories of each and every one. Leading into the 2015 season, Van der Breggen is good, yes, but not yet a superstar. Her talent was clear even 3 years ago, when she worked for teammate Marianne Vos in the World Championships and still managed to take 5th place herself. 2014 was even better for her, finishing in the top 10 at multiple one-day races, including the Tour of Flanders. She also took home an overall win at the Ladies Tour of Norway and a podium place at the Giro Rosa. The upwards trajectory of her career was clear, until a disaster struck. The World Championships were in Ponferrada, Spain, and Van der Breggen is on the start line here as part of the Rabo Liv team in the women's team time trial. Right before the finishing kilometer, the team flies through the roundabout, and Amiek van Vleuten takes it a little too wide and collides with a barrier that sends her bike and body flying. The crash also takes down Van der Breggen, who sustains a pelvis fracture. She healed over the winter and came into 2015 firing on all cylinders, winning Omloop het Nieuwsblad and Le Semaine des Dames, signifying strong form heading into Ardennes Classics. And so, we finally come to Flèche Wallonne. Now, I need to make a disclaimer here. I like to think we utilize a good amount of video footage here on 124. However, women's cycling even 2020s is unnecessarily hard to find footage of a lot of times, because races didn't need to have live coverage, an insane occurrence for a top level of any sport. This means that sometimes you're going to have to take our word for it on some of the details of how things played out, since the official highlights videos only actually include around 3 minutes of race footage from the incredibly helpful UCI. When it comes to the race this year, it was an exercise in the team trusting their star, and the star repaying the team. Rabo Liv worked on the front the whole day, and as they approached the final descent of the Mur, Van der Breggen attacked and bridged the gap to a lead group of her teammate Roxanne Nedeman and big low rider Amiek van Vleuten. Nedeman set up Van der Breggen perfectly, and she immediately left van Vleuten behind, stomping to a 12-second win at the finish of the race. This will be a recurring theme. Coming into the race as the defending winner, Van der Breggen faces even tougher competition in 2016. There's world champion Lizzie Armistead, Swedish national champion Emma Johansson, Evelyn Stevens, and Marianne Vos, Van der Breggen's teammate and the greatest woman cyclist of all time. With 40 kilometers to go, the peloton catches the morning's breakaway. Armistead is leading the charge, and this stretches the peloton to a single file line, cutting down to a group of about 30 riders. Attacks keep flying to try and split it further, but the peloton sticks together. The Pentalumic climb of the day is here, with an 8% average gradient. Rabo Liv hits the front end force, and Van der Breggen attacks as well, a clip that the UCI sees fit to not actually include in their highlights. She rides a whole climb at the front, and only 5 women can stick with her, including Stevens. With 4 kilometers to go, the lead group is up to 7 now, and they slow down, watching each other. This is when Van der Breggen makes her move, launching from the back of the group. Only Stevens follows, and there's just 2.5 kilometers left. Van der Breggen leads all the way to the final climb. Either Stevens is playing coy, or she's already at her limit. The truth would be revealed, as it always is, on the mirror. Leading the whole way to the top, with 200 meters to go, Van der Breggen truly turns on the afterburners, and Stevens doesn't have a shot, and Van der Breggen goes back to back. Just so you're keeping track, there's still no TV coverage of this race, and that's a shame, because this year could be absolutely historic for our heroine. She's already won the Amstel Gold Race this week. Now, if she can go back to back to back at Flèche Wallonne and also win Liège-Bastogne-Liège next Sunday, she'll become the first female rider to ever win all 3 of the Ardennes Classics in the same year, and only the 3rd person to ever do it. This hasn't even been a possibility for the woman until now, because this is the first year all 3 classics have a women's edition. So, with the chance of history on the line, we watch in anticipation. This year, they've shortened the course and removed some hills, but in exchange, it's made the last 44 kilometers more intense, as 6 of the 7 climbs in the day fall into that space. And once again, we find ourselves on a penultimate climb of the day, and Lizzie Deignan, formerly Armistead, is on the front, now the teammate of Van der Breggen. Either one of them could win today, and it feels like it's going to be a matter of whose attack on the lead into the Mur sticks. As happened last year, it'll be Van der Breggen's attack. The European and now Olympic champion attacks, and Deignan marks the 3rd member of the breakaway, which means Van der Breggen gets to work her way up the climb steadily and wins the largest margin of victory in the race's history. And in case you had any doubts, Van der Breggen did win in Liège and did chisel her name into history. This is a short one, and I'd like to be clear here, this is as much a video about the UCI consistently disrespecting women's cycling as it is about Anna Van der Breggen's dominance. She wins again, obviously, but this time it's a technical closer finish, as she only wins by a few bike lengths, and this year you can actually see her rivals behind her. Though, I hope you didn't want to see the entire finish and climb, or even her winning attack. That's not in the incredibly edited highlight reel. The fact that one of the classics, a huge race, that already has had the infrastructure in place for the men's race for decades, can't put together a highlight reel with more than 5 minutes of actual racing boggles the mind. The other theme here is that Flèche Wallonne always comes down to a mirror. People tend to say that you don't need to watch Milan-San Remos until the final 20 or so kilometers. When it comes to this race, I'd argue you don't need to tune in until the last 10k. Yet again, it comes down to a small select group on the mirror. This time, we get to see exactly why Van der Breggen has won so many times in a row. At 250 meters left in the climb, she's situated on the right side of the road and pushes down onto the pedals, digging into the harsh gradient. She emerges first from the final corner, and just based on body language alone, you can easily tell she's taken her 5th win in a row. The quickest of looks over her shoulder lets her know that she's now equaled Alejandro Valverde's total number of wins at Flèche Wallonne. How many more will she collect? The 2020 Flèche Wallonne was notable for 2 reasons. First, there is finally, full live TV coverage of the race. Secondly, it is that due to the COVID pandemic, this race is taking place in the fall, just 4 days after World Championships, where, of course, Van der Breggen won. The live coverage means we actually get to see the Boels Dolmans team work on the front for Van der Breggen, beautifully managing the race all the way up to 1 kilometer to go at the base of the Mur. Former British champion Hannah Barnes picks up the pace right under the Flamme Rouge. Van der Breggen sitting in second wheel, and a whole group of riders is with them, all wondering if maybe, just maybe, Van der Breggen is still cooked from Worlds, and this might be the day where the Queen loses her crown. 850 meters to go, and Van der Breggen is now sitting on the front, and we see the remnants of her teammates struggling up the Mur. Back to the front, and the lead group keeps shedding riders on Van der Breggen's pace. She isn't looking back or flicking her elbow for someone to come through. She has her wattage numbers to hit, and she's not bothered. At 400 meters to go, Demi Vollering attacks on the right-hand side, but Van der Breggen doesn't even need to get out of the saddle to catch her. Now there are just 3 left up front. Vollering is suffering from her attack, and Van der Breggen takes the lead back over as they go hit the final pitch of the climb. This is the most Van der Breggen has had a battle in the last 6 years, but the Queen still reigns. 6 years. Unstoppable. This is Van der Breggen's final year as a professional rider. Last May, she announced she'd be retiring after the Tokyo Olympics, attempting to bow out of the sport with a successful defense of her Olympic gold medal. Every race this year now has the added motivation of it being one last go. Flèche Wallonne is no exception. Winning 7 total and in a row would put her in a stratosphere that no one, absolutely no one, will ever be able to beat. And so, we're on her final climb of the Muir, and we're treated to a familiar sight. Van der Breggen on the front of the race, just going at her unstoppable tempo. But with 300 meters to go, we have a less familiar sight. Nui Adoma on the Canyon SRAM team gets alongside Van der Breggen. Then she's ahead of her, out of the saddle. We've never seen Van der Breggen have to counter so early on this climb, and for a moment, we wonder if this could be it for the record. I did say it was just for a moment. Van der Breggen accelerates past, and for the 7th time in a row, Van der Breggen raises her arms in victory. We'll never know how many more she might have won if she kept racing, but we do know we were treated to dominance in a way that we've never seen, and it's a way that we'll never see ever again.